And our fourth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Jonas Diaz, who writes, "Hey, John. It looks like Agatha Harkness is getting a chance to break out of Westview sooner than expected. Variety reports that a WandaVision spinoff is getting developed with Kathryn Hahn back to lead and Jac Schaeffer returning to her work in WandaVision as Black Widow, returning from her work in WandaVision and Black Widow. With all of these upcoming Marvel films and shows, what are your thoughts on them adding an Agatha show?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, this was a little bit of a surprise, but really not that big of a surprise. Now, obviously, coming out of WandaVision, that I thought was fantastic. I loved WandaVision. It's been my favorite of the MCU Disney Plus shows. It's the only one that I really love. The other ones are a little bit of a mixed bag, but WandaVision I thought was great. And I think even for people who didn't love WandaVision, I think just about everybody loved Agatha. Everybody loved Agatha. She was such a great, and Rob, you know, I have been singing the praises of Kathryn Hahn for a long time.
Yep.
Ever since I saw her in Anchorman. And when I say anything, I mean anything good. I mean, I love her as the stepsister in the movie Step Brothers, or as the sister-in-law in Step Brothers. I want you to live in my pants. Anyway, this is great. I can't not say for her family mentioning that, but I love Kathryn Hahn. And then her role on Parks and Rec, and she just delivers gold every time she's on screen. Anyway, they did just announce that they are going to do a WandaVision spin-off series starring Kathryn Hahn. It's going to be an Agatha series. We don't know what exactly, but anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Variety, who writes, "Kathryn Hahn would reprise the role of Agatha Harkness in the series, which is described by sources as a dark comedy, though exact plot details remain under wraps. WandaVision head writer Jac Schaeffer would serve as the writer and executive producer on the project. Should the spin-off go forward, and that's important to note, it's not 100% greenlit yet. It should the spinoff go forward, it would be the first project Schaeffer has set up with Marvel since she signed an overall deal with them and 20th Television in May." All right, so first thing we got to acknowledge, it's not 100% greenlit yet, but it looks like that's what's moving forward. Are we surprised? Rob, I'll say this. One of the things that has worked so well for Marvel is that they are calculated, they are not reactionary, right? And that had been one of the big, I think, pitfalls of Warner Brothers and their DC contents early in the formations of the DCEU, was they were very reactionary. Whereas the MCU is the opposite. They've been calculated, not reactionary. But even if you are primarily calculated, having the ability to react to certain situations quickly can be very beneficial. Because Rob, and I may be wrong, and I want to know what you think about this. I might be wrong about this. I don't think for a second that an Agatha series was a part of the plan. I don't think it was a part of the plan before WandaVision came out.
No way.
I think this is one of those, hey, look how much people loved Kathryn Hahn as Agatha. This is a pretty rich character. She's powerful. She's got a crazy personality. There's a lot you could do with her. Hell, even when you go into the comics, I mean, she's not in the comics a lot, but she's very, very complex even when you go into the comics, right? Sometimes on one side, sometimes on the other. It's Agatha. I think this was a reaction to the response the audience gave this character, to understanding how great Kathryn Hahn was in the role and how well that character was received. And this is one of those times where it's like, yes, while being calculated, you should have the flexibility to react to certain information as it comes available to you. And if that information is that people loved her as Agatha, and it's a rich character that we could do something really great with, I'm all for it. Now, they're keeping it all under wraps right now, Rob. They're really not giving any details away other than a dark comedy, which the first question for me becomes, when would this take place? Would this be back in the Salem witch stuff days that we saw in one of the prequels? Is that where this happens? Is this a sequel? Does it happen after she's left in her own little mind prison in that town after Wanda leaves? Does she get out? or what. I personally, you know me, I never prefer prequels. I would rather see them move her story forward. So anyway, Rob, in general, what do you think about this news? Are you surprised by it? Were you expecting it? Was this planned? Was it not? Do you think it'll happen before the events of WandaVision? Do you think it'll have a lot of questions here? What do you think about it?
Well, first of all, one of the great joys to me of WandaVision was the Agatha Harkness character. I mean, dude, we went back to the 16th century in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we straight up, like, look, I love the fact that Blade, I mean, we're getting a supernatural element. There's a supernatural element in Moon Knight, a little bit, maybe, unless he's crazy and it's really not an Egyptian god who's possessed him. We'll see. But you have Werewolf by Night in Moon Knight. Blade's coming, and the fact that Agatha Harkness is a sorceress for hundreds of years. She's hundreds of years old. And first of all, how great was she? We both love her. She was so good, so much fun. Definitely a highlight of WandaVision. And no, we didn't see it coming. But I think what's great about Marvel is when they introduce a character that is a breakout character, they can go, Kevin Feige can be like, you know what? Let's make a show. and no one's going to go, oh, no, Kevin, we can't do that. Oh, yes, we can. I'm Kevin Feige. Have you looked at my box office grosses? I can do anything I want. So I love the fact that they're able to create something, and when there is a breakout character, they can shift, they can move, they can feint and do other things and bring us something that we're not expecting. And I think the Agatha Harkness character and that show, especially working in tandem with Moon Knight and Blade. I mean, if they give us Werewolf by Night in the Moon Knight series, that's a character, another obscure Marvel character that Moon Knight has a connection to, but a supernatural character, that they can actually build that up. I think that could be a great thing. There could be, like, it could act as a glue that can hold the supernatural elements of the Marvel Cinematic Universe together. I'm excited, man. I think that's great. And she's great.
She got nominated for an Emmy for it.
Do you think they'll call the show Agatha all the time?
All along?
Yeah, well, I all along, all the time, whatever.
I don't know. It almost seems too perfect. Like it might be almost too obvious. But
they'll just call it Harkness.
That's not a bad title.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Right, Harkness.
But cool. Then again, it depends on what it's about. What's it about, though? Like, if it's, so until we know what it's about, like, maybe another title would be more appropriate.
John, let me ask you this. If you were in charge of the show, what would you make it about?
Okay, so if it was me, my bias. I would definitely have it take place after the events of WandaVision. So start right there. I think it would be about her getting out there. Now, the first question would be, does she stay in that town or does she get out? I think she probably gets out, and then maybe something to do with the pursuit of Wanda. Maybe something along those lines. Because, she found it to be a very big deal that Wanda was the Scarlet Witch. That was a very big deal to her. So something, whether it's directly her going after Scarlet or whether it's something to do with, if the Scarlet Witch is out there, then this needs to happen, and that becomes her side mission. So, I don't know. It really all depends. But, Rob, let me throw a big, wild, random, crazy theory out there.
Uh-oh.
And you correct me if I'm wrong, because you're more versed in this than I am. One of the things we saw Agatha Harkness do in the comics, and remember, John Watts is going to be, after he's done with Spider-Man No Way Home, he's going to be doing a little Ryan Gosling or George Clooney, Brad Pitt movie.
Right.
But after that, he's doing a little Fantastic Four. One of the things we saw Agatha Harkness do in the comics, she was a nanny. She was, what's the word I'm looking for? She was Mary frickin' Poppins, y'all. She was a house nanny babysitting a little child.
I like where you're going with this, buddy.
By the name of Franklin Richards.
Yeah.
Could it be possible that this Agatha series could be our introduction to the Fantastic Four? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I like where you've gone with this, but I don't know if they would introduce the Fantastic Four in the show. I would imagine that this would come out. So if I did an Agatha Harkness show, I would explore the history, the supernatural history of the MCU, and we would see Agatha Harkness in all of these different eras, from the 1600s when we first met her, maybe even before. And the show would every episode would take place in different decades of time, and we'd see her in different historical periods doing whatever the hell she did.
Right, kind of like a Highlander.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And we would explore the supernatural elements of the MCU, and I think you absolutely would do an episode where she's Franklin Richards' nanny, but I do think we'd have to introduce the Fantastic Four first because they're too important. I don't think as much as Marvel has teased, like, look, we got Agatha Harkness because of WandaVision, but I think the Fantastic Four, because Franklin Richards does not exist when the Fantastic Four are introduced. He hasn't been born yet. So that has to be,
as far as we know.
Yeah,
I mean, Kevin Feige may introduce them already as a family, and they might. I mean, they probably not.
It's true.
Probably not.
It's just that Franklin Richards in the Marvel comic universe is such a pivotal character and is so important on different levels that I think you have to work up to that. And I think it would dovetail to like Fantastic Four 2.
By the way,
I think they'd have a Fantastic Four movie, then the Harkness series would happen. Maybe that's when they introduce the baby.
And by the way, we don't know when the Agatha series is coming.
Have no idea.
It could, but Rob, here's one other thing. I was mentioning Franklin Richards. Could that be a doorway into, Fantastic Four? Franklin Richards also, he's more than just the son of Sue Storm and Reed Richards. He's something else. He's a mutant. Could that also be a door? I mean, again, wild, stupid speculation. I'm just saying with this Agatha character, there's really a lot of different possibilities that could be. But again, you're right. Right now, we don't even know when this is coming. This may come out Fantastic Four is still years away. Like, it's because John Watts, again, he's got to wrap up with No Way Home. I almost said No Time to Die. He's got to wrap up with No Way Home. Then he's going to do the Brad Pitt, George Clooney movie. And then he's doing Fantastic Four. So that's still a ways off. So who knows how long this is going to be. But either way, Rob, I'm excited about this. I give me more Kathryn Hahn any day of the week. I'm there. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this news that we are getting a WandaVision spinoff known as Agatha? Not 100% greenlit right now, but it is in the works according to Variety. Do you like this idea? I think it's great. Maybe you think it's stretching it a little bit too far. However you guys feel about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.